Crystal, can you hear us?
Yes.
Can you see us?
Yes.
Javier,
Yes, we can hear you.
can you see us?
Yes.
Excellent. Awesome. All right, we're ready then. Let's get this show on the road. All right. So
I am here also.
again this morning. What?
Carolyn Villanueva is here also.
Thank you.
She's on the phone. Carolyn Villanueva.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so thank you again for coming in today. We're actually going to go over patient portal and meaningful use. How do you guys achieve meaningful use, right? That's one of the most important questions. So I'm going to go over basically some meaningful use measures, and then Angie's going to go in and give you a refresher on what you need to do, okay? And then we have Jennifer here, and she's actually one of the LPN from Northwest, no, Southwest, okay. She's Dr. Modak, she works with Dr. Modak and his team. And they're, because they champions of enrolling patients on the patient portal while they're in, that it might be good for you guys to hear exactly what Dr. Modak does and what the staff does, and you might want to implement that with your staff as well. Okay, so meaningful use measures for 2017. So the measure one, there's two measures to this. The first, and this is for this year. More than 50% of your patients basically have to be provided access to the patient portal, right? So they come in, there's a few ways to enroll the patient, the auto enrollment, a token number, or there's also now self-enrollment. And Angie will go into that a little bit more in detail, okay? 50% of those patients have to be enrolled in the patient portal, at least access to enroll. The measure two is that 5% of your patients has to have a secure message sent to the patient, or you respond to that patient from a message that they've sent you. And timely access means 4 business days, okay? And with the auto enrollment, that happens within the first 24 hours because they automatically receive an email saying, congratulations, welcome to the patient portal, click this link to complete your enrollment, okay? So that's that part. And as we said, there's the 3 methods of, oh, it's not, oh, there it is. It's delayed, hold on, there you go. So as we talked about, there's the 3 methods of enrollment. You have auto enrollment, sorry, can you guys see me? Token number and self-enrollment. And like I said, Angie will go into that a little bit more in detail. Yeah, Dr. Burton.
So 50% having to be enrolled, does that mean of patients who are seen during that particular time period, or that means like 50%?
It's during that reporting period, and right now it's a 90-day reporting period for 2017. Yes, right. So we can actually pick the best 90 days on that. Okay. Okay. So how do you measure 2? The first way is just replying to a message sent by the patient. That's all you have to do. They send you a message, and it not only is just you replying to it, your staff can reply, and that meets the measure 2, okay? And again, Angie will go through the details in regards to how to refresh on how to send the messages. If you create your own message and send it, and again, either you or a representative, your representative can send that message too. And one of the questions came up, even with Dr. Modak's staff, if it's just a float MA that comes in, will that still meet it? And the answer is yes. Okay. Replying to a medication renewal request. Again, it's just the interaction of you sending or responding to that message from the patient, and that meets the measure. Okay.
Excuse me, so sending the script is, even if you just sending the script is a
no, this is responding to that request from the patient to renew that medication. So no, you would actually have to respond, script sent, go to your pharmacy, you're good to go, or whatever, you know. Yeah. Yes, a good question. Okay, sending a document through the patient portal. You can actually just right-click and send to the patient portal, and that'll go through. Okay, and the patient education, patient plan, lab letter, that kind of thing. Okay. So I also wanted to bring this up. This is the patient portal meaningful use measure for 2018. This is stage 3. They just determined it is a 90-day reporting period, which is great because they were talking about a whole year. So this is actually good news for us. So it is a 90-day period, but now that 50% goes to 85%. And that's why we're doing such a hard push now. We figure if you guys get, patients enrolled and that momentum going, you should be up to that 85% for 2018. The measure 2 goes from 5% to 35%. It's a pretty big jump, and it actually is more specific to sending, this is responding a message sent to the reporting period, and I believe it actually has to do with the patient education as well as linked to it, but I'm getting more details on that. Okay. Any questions on the meaningful use? Okay, we're gonna have Angie jump in.
Go ahead and bring up next gen if you would, and I'll walk on.
Yes.
If you're remoted in, just leave it on your desktop.
Give me a second here. Close out all of the stuff that I have. We're getting there.
That's fine, take your time.
Oh, I have to.
Okay, I'm going to jump into next gen and go over these items. We'll start first of all with the 3 methods of enrollment, kind of what that looks like and how a patient can enroll themselves. Okay, so in the electronic health record, let me just bring up, I'm going to switch. So again, like Sherry mentioned in the PowerPoint, there are 3 methods to enrollment. Patient shows up, they have an appointment today, the appointment status is kept. Not a no-show, not a canceled, kept. Then that patient will receive an email to their home email address, welcoming them to the portal and allowing them to set up their own preferences. That's the auto enrollment. Token number, patient comes in, they don't have an appointment today, but they want a token number. They give the MOR, the MA, their email address, they put it in their demographics, they take the token number home, they again get an email welcoming them to the patient portal. And then the third method is the mylrio.org. So we now have a website called mylrio.org. And that website at the very top has a link where a patient can enroll themselves. And a lot of, and Jennifer will probably be able to tell you, this has probably been one of the biggest successes is patient enrolling themselves, besides the token numbers. So I'm just gonna bring up a patient, and I'm gonna kind of show you now the statuses. Because it's important for you to understand when you look at that patient portal status, there's only 2 that will meet your meaningful use requirements. So let me bring up the very first patient. Well, let's see. By the way, for those of you who don't know, you can add a column to your patient search box that tells you if their status for their enrollment is complete, not enrolled, complete with guardian, declined, deferred. So you can see all of these statuses. When I double click on this patient, I can see by the status up here at the very top, it's a solid blue icon with a glow of yellow. We think it's the sun coming up. And it says complete, and it tells you the last time they were logged on. So that patient meets your meaningful use requirement for enrollment status. Let's take a look at the other status that meets the enrollment. And we should have it here by Brittany. It's hard for you to see this, but it says declined by patient, the X. So now you have the blue icon with the sun coming up behind it, but it's got a red X across it. It has an exclamation mark. That means it's a pending status. This one, if you hover, says declined by patient. That meets your meaningful use requirement.
Go into that 85%.
Yes, sir. Now let me show you one that does not. So when you see this icon, this is where you as a provider might ask your staff to take further action, such as getting them enrolled or talking them through it. Something to get that status, anything but pending with Guardian, pending period, pending auto enrollment. We don't want to see pending. So the exclamation mark means, whoo, take action. Okay?
So Angie, what
Yes.
kind of action are we talking about?
Oh, I'm so glad that you asked me that. Because if I go in here and click on the icon, I can take you or your staff can then either complete the enrollment, because you see this is pending right here with Guardian. So if I wanted to generate a new token number, give them that token number. Don't forget to say okay to this window. So again, it's pending. I clicked on, I wish I had my radio button, sorry. I clicked on this new token. I write down this token number for the patient. I, of course, verify their email address is correct. And then I say, okay. It's going to send them an email welcoming them to the patient portal and say, what's that token number? Because they'll have a blue link. They'll put in this token number and it'll walk them through setting up their preferences.
What if they tell you, I changed my mind, this is too much of a pain in the butt, I don't want it?
Oh, simple. I'm so glad that you asked that question. I can say cancel. I can remove the email address. Click on patient response right here. And this middle option, which says deferred enrollment. The middle option is the only option that counts towards your meaningful use. Deferred enrollment. Yes, sir.
So, if they don't have a computer, quite a few patients don't.
Right.
Right? Oh, yeah, deferred. Just make sure.
Where does that happen? Because that's not gonna necessarily happen when you, the doctor, is in front of the patient. Where does that happen?
So it's supposed to happen at the front desk. When the patient checks in and they go through the auto enrollment, they ding the MORs. They're supposed to ask the patient, are you interested in enrolling in the patient portal? They go, well, I'm not sure. Do you have an email address you'd like to give me? They put the email address in there. Now that's the auto enrollment because they have an appointment, it's kept, they're gonna get an email. MOR should give them an auto enrollment flyer, which explains the process. I'm not really interested right now. Let me generate a token number for you without an email address. And if you decide within 30 days, but now it's not even 30 days, it used to be that they would expire, token numbers would expire. Now they never expire. So if they decide later on they want to enroll, they can do that. However, we really like the option of sending the patient to the myelrio.org when they're ready. But again, if you don't mark the deferred, you will not get credit for meaningful use. Yes, ma'am?
And if they go to enroll through myelrio.org, they don't need a token number, they would just like put in their name and date of birth?
You got it. You got it. They walk through setting up their preferences, gets approved, they're in line Flint.
And if this is so important to the whole organization, why would they give it an option? Why isn't it just done? We've enrolled
We
them now.
can't make people enroll in something.
Well, why don't we enroll them? And then
Well,
say, this is something that we've already got for you. You can use it if you like. Because one of the issues that I understand from the patient is that it's a bit of a hassle and I don't have the time. But if you do it for me,
That's what
In a few moments, this is what Jennifer is here to talk to you about, because they started a pilot program at the Southwest Pediatrics under the guidance of Dr. Modak and Jennifer, and they enroll patients right then and there.
yeah, I mean, that would be.
Well, that's fine. I mean, that's fine. I'm just showing you the different methods and what meets your meaningful use.
Okay.
But that's a great question, and that's kind of what we're steering toward, just getting them enrolled.
Yeah.
And just a clarification, because it sounded like we've had two different responses. So auto enrollment counts towards measure one or does not count towards measure one?
Who am I speaking to?
Paul Swenson?
Now, Paul, in auto enrollment, if the icon has an exclamation mark, which is pending auto enrollment, pending whatever, it does not count.
No, it does meet measure one, because we've given them access to to be able to log on, whether they log on or not. It has nothing to do, that's measure two.
But it's a
But
good
it does,
goal for us
that's
to
correctly measure one.
a good goal for us to work on moving them now, because if they're pending come next year, there's no way of communicating with 35% if most people are pending, correct?
If they're pending, no, because they're not actually enrolled, and that's what what Angie was referring to, is that that's not the status we want. We want to show completed status or even deferred or declined if they do not want to take part in the patient portal.
All right.
Really, those are really the two acceptable statuses.
Mhm.
And what I understood, meaningful use is earned when there is at least one bi-directional use of the portal. So the patient has enrolled, right? And I have, as a provider, I send them something and they respond, and I'm good with that measure.
Right, it's 5% for 2017.
Right,
Correct.
And we measure it in a
Yes.
3-month period.
Correct.
3-month period.
Yes, right, yep, you got it.
Thanks.
So let's back up just a smidge so that we understand there are two measures. There's one that says that we are offering the enrollment or we're making it available, and two, we are bi-directionally communicating with our patients. That's for 2017, any 3 months, okay? Okay, any other questions at Congress or Northwest?
Or on the phone.
Or on the phone? Thanks, Paul, for that question. So let me continue on. So we understand, and we're going to put some information up on the NUGs for you so that you can see this piece of paper that I've created that shows you clearly the statuses, okay? Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to respond to a message. Now we're going to talk about measure 2, which is a bidirectional communication. Make sense? Good, okay, so I'm going to bring up my patient. Hopefully they're still there. Oops. I'm going to cancel this, which cancels the enrollment process. Now I'm going to file close my patient. I'm going to go to my inbox. And I'm going to click on my patient portal. Notice I've got communications, prescriptions, inbox. We're only going to talk about communications and prescriptions right now. So I'm going to look for a patient that, oh yeah, I just did this last night. Somebody responded to my messages. So let me see if I can find them. They're Johnny on the spot. The staff is, let me see if I can out. So what did that do with them? Hold on 1 second. Let me just see where I am here.
Did I miss that?
I wasn't paying attention. She was just saying about what the quality, the measures are that you have to meet for meaningful use and stuff.
Okay, they didn't go through a tutorial and they were just talking about the requirements.
Yeah, I think she did go through a couple things, but you have to double check with her.
I'll check them out. Go ahead.
Do we have documentation of this because Dr. Funk just came in a little bit ago? Or is there
Yes,
anything?
this presentation's being recorded, as well as we will have documentation on the NUG.
Thank you.
No problem. All right, I apologize. Let me just go into my patient portal and let me just send a message so you can see what that looks like. I can get to Internet Explorer. So this is the mylrio.org. Let me show you that right quick. mylrio.org, which is where our patients can now go do the auto enrollment simply by clicking here under self-enrollment. But I have a patient and I'm going to send a message and the name is account, ZZ, test. This is what our patients would do if they're looking to send a message to a provider. They have a username and a password and then a security question. And I'm just going to use one of the providers. I used Dr. Aparicio. I'm going to compose a message. This looks a lot like Outlook Mail. Let me find Dr. Aparicio, and I'll use her. And this is a test training message. I do this every time, but we have some staff that are really Johnny on the spot. So now I'm going to submit. While I'm here, I'm going to also submit a request for a medication renewal, so I don't have to come back in here and do this again. This is the patient. They see their medication lists. They see the pharmacy, they send it to the provider, and they put in a brief description. Okay? We have all kinds of disclaimers. This tells them to give you 24 to 48 hours to respond. So now I have sent a medication renewal request, pretty quick, and I have sent a communication. So now I'm going to go back to my NextGen, and I'm going to look for those in my inbox, under inbox communication, and I'm going to refresh, and I'm going to wait. Hopefully it comes over sooner rather than later. Until my message comes through, let me jump to the medications, because my message for the medications is here. Do you see it? I have a message received yesterday for account test, renewal ongoing medications for Dr. May. So this is how you as a provider is going to workflow a response. This is the by communication. When I double click, it launches the message. I want to repeat to you, this will not order the meds. You have to go in the med module and order. However, if I want to respond to the patient by clicking on my respond button at the top, and I want to tell this patient that I'm going to order or decline this medication, I'm going to click on the pending blue link to where it either says approve or decline. I'm going to approve it, and I'm going to put in a message, medication approved. Go to your pharmacy and pick up. Thank you, Dr. Angie. I can spell. There we go. All right? I'm not done. I have to send and chart this. For this to count as that bidirectional, I'm going to click on the send and chart. Now it's in the patient's chart. I've just met that meaningful use. Of course, I would go in the med module and order the meds. And I could do that because my patient is right here. And it went away. Go into my outbox. Let me go into my response state. And there's my account. I click on chart, it launches the record. Do you see the patient portal message right there? Check mark. I've got that bidirectional communication. Make sense? Okay, let me do the file closed patient. Let me do a message, and then I'm going to show you how to send a document. Okay, there's my message that I just sent a few moments ago. I'm going to double click. Now make sure that when you're replying back to the patient here up at the top where it says reply, when you drop down this little arrow, you can reply to sender. I don't want to reply to Angie. I can reply to the patient or all. I'm going to pick patient. There's the patient's name. Just like Outlook Mail. I'm going to always want to put something in here kind of like, come see me tomorrow and we will talk about it. This is just like email, so you want to make sure that you use email etiquette. Now, I've got to send and chart because now I've got this bi-directional, right? Send and chart. If I go into the chart, there's my message. So the point here is no matter what action you take, whether it's a medication renewal request or message, you want to make sure it lives in the patient chart. Even if you talk to them on the phone, you might respond to them, per our conversation today, please do this and that, and blah, blah, blah. If you want to reply to your nurse and the patient, and you want the nurse to make an appointment, then do that. make sure it's in the patient's chart. Yes, ma'am.
I have two questions. Is this a good time or do you have to?
Go for it.
So my first question is, can I do my phrases for patient portal? Because a lot of what I'm using for is sending the message to say, your lab results are normal, call us PO.
Absolutely, you can. And we have a little how-to on how to create your own standard responses.
Okay.
Okay?
Second question is, do we have a protocol or a policy for replying to patients who send us messages in Spanish? The reason being that I speak medical Spanish, but I don't write medical Spanish. And my understanding is that there are only some people who have actually gone through a certification to communicate with patients, like as an interpreter. And some of my staff, even if they're bilingual, don't necessarily spell and use correct grammar in English. I don't know whether Spanish replies would be correct or not. So my inclination with patients who email us or send a message in portal in Spanish is to reply in English, which is not helpful to them.
Right.
Also, Google Translate cannot be trusted.
Right.
And I, for a while, had my LPN going to Google Translate. But for an example, like if I'm talking about constipation and I say stool, it will translate it as a stool that you sit on. So it creates real big problems. So I think that with our population, we need to figure out what to do when patients send us a message in Spanish. How are we supposed to reply and know that it's accurate, it's helpful, and it's legal?
Good point.
We'll look into it, yeah.
Yeah, well-
I mean, I think right now, right, like today, if I had a message in Spanish, I would probably say gracias y entonces llámame, I'll call you, right?
Yeah.
Because I would not go down that path, and definitely not Google Translate.
Yeah, I mean, I usually end up doing, it's only happened a couple times, but I'll send a brief reply. All right, so anyway.
Yeah, I mean, because I mean, good news is you've hit the bidirectional measure.
Yeah.
The bad news is we've got to take it offline, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, we have pretty large constituencies of Russian-speaking patients, a lot of Middle Eastern, I mean, Spanish is our majority, but.
Yeah, I don't know that we're gonna actually get Russian
Yeah,
characters
yeah.
or whatever for next gen.
Yeah.
We can do that, because when I've tried to,
Or Vietnamese probably wouldn't go either.
yeah, I mean, we have patient education, it's in a number of languages, some very common stuff. But anyway, I'm just throwing this out there that I think IT
Good point.
and
We'll take it down.
administration need to figure out what we're doing with portal with people who dominate Spanish.
Yeah.
Understood. Thank you.
Let's take that forward and actually get that into some kind of a procedure right now, so we can build consistency across the system.
And can you also please send out something to staff who are using this to make sure that they know we do not use Google Translate. It's not an official medical translator, and it's like, just don't use it. If you're gonna reply, just reply in English.
Right.
And they can go find an English printed translation.
Okay. Yes, sir.
It's the opposite of the question. So if some of us do feel comfortable responding in Spanish, do we
Oh, that's
chart it?
fine.
Yeah, do we chart it in Spanish? 'Cause-
See, when I actually put stuff like that, I have an answer to that for my patient plans. I'll have, stuff for a URI, it says it's viral, you don't need any antibiotics, whatever. And I have translated it and had somebody check it in Spanish. I put it in English because I figure there's a provider who's gonna, at some point, need to read
That's
that.
the issue.
Right.
Let me
And-
read it.
Because one of my colleagues was putting patient plan stuff and using that as the entire plan, like not putting it as a physician plan. And putting it all in Spanish for Spanish speaking patients, which is great. But I learned Spanish on the fly and I can't read that and know what she's actually communicating with patients. I've been in both.
So I think in the one model from the NCA mentioned, I think we need to specify that if those of us that do feel comfortable responding and writing in Spanish, that we should actually put it in
English and Spanish.
Somebody can pick up the chart, somebody can pick up the chart, whether it's the pharmacist or somebody else,
Yeah.
and they may not have that.
Yeah, the chart is English. All right, so I just deployed the policy and procedure people to get working on that.
Excellent.
Good.
I just can get that done. Good
Okay.
point. Thank you for listening.
We're gonna go ahead and have Angie show how to send a lab letter.
through the
So
portal.
now we're
I want to get you out of here on time.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
No, that's good.
Good question, though. I think
So what-
it's a good topic.
What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to a chart and I'm going to send the patient plan because they left down their patient plan. And oh, by the way, there's some education I think that they'd be interested in. So I'm going to send that through. And that meets that second meaningful use requirement. So let me go into 0701, 2017. And test baby. Okay, so I wrote down the wrong. I was doing this kind of late last night. I'm so sorry. Let me get rid of this. There we go. Now I saw this patient today, well, yesterday. And now I have over here, I have the patient plan. Here's my patient plan. If I merely right-click on the patient plan, I'm sorry, let me see if I can move this. Okay, can you see it now? You see send to patient portal. So right-clicking on documents, not templates, documents, will allow you to say send it to the patient portal. Dr. Kurtzman, this is where you can create your as many custom my phrases as you want, and I'll show you that or I'll point you to the how-to. But what I'm going to do is here is your patient plan from today.
You have to put a message or can you just send the plan?
It's recommended that you send a message because they're going to get just a letter like you would get an email from Outlook, no header, no nothing, and then a little paper clip. So it's better if you just say, or create. On my phrase it says, here's the document, well we have one right here. Here's the document that you requested. If I double click, it automatically puts in an approved standardized clinic response. Now if I send, it's gone, and you say to me, how do I know that? Because if I right-click on that patient plan again, I can see under the patient portal history details that the document was sent over, when it was sent over, and by whom. There it goes. So here's the history right here. Now let's say, for instance, that that's not what I want to do. I want to go to my inbox. I'm in my inbox, and I'm in the patient, I've got them highlighted, and I want to compose a message right here and attach a document. So I'm in the inbox, I'm hitting the compose down at the bottom. I'm going to go select the patient because I'm in the patient's chart. It's the first one up at the top. If I didn't find it, I could pick add a patient, and then there's that wonderful search box that we are all familiar with. In this case, I'm going to send it to my adult. Subject is patient education. And then I'm going to put in, here's the document that you requested. The important thing to do before I send it is come up here to the attachment tab at the very top under the save button. Now this looks blank because it is. If you just remember to click on the very first icon that says add a document. It goes into the patient's chart and it pulls up all encounters. It allows you to expand the encounter and say, I want to send the patient plan. I want to send the anemia from heavy bleeding, and I want to send the iron-rich diet after your visit. So now I'm going to send education and patient plan.
What was the little icon up there that?
It's just a piece of paper.
Okay.
It's a piece of paper, and if you hover on that, it'll say add a document.
Okay.
And then say, okay, now all three of those documents have been added and will accompany this message. And now I'm going to make sure I send in chart at the very top so that it documents in the patient's chart. Questions? So you can either right-click on a document in the chart and send to patient portal, or you can, from the inbox, compose a message, ask to add an attachment, and then pick the attachment you want to send.
And for children, I want to add on, so there's a glitch, we learned that with NextGen, right? But we do have a workaround for it. So I know with pediatricians, if you right click and try to send a document and it comes out saying that they're not enrolled, but it shows that they are enrolled, you can do how Angie showed the compose method, and you can just attach the document and send it that way. So there is a workaround. It basically, because the system thinks that you're sending it to the dependent or to that child, and so it confuses it. So there is at least a workaround on it. Okay. All right, let's have, I don't know, lose time here. Do you have
15 minutes, no, I'm done. I'm done.
Okay, so
I'm
let's
gonna get out of here.
Jennifer talk a little bit. She's
Bless you, bless you.
Bless you.
They're right here. Can't find it. Let's see, I'm sorry. I'll log you off of here, or should I not?
Yeah, go ahead, sign up.
You sure? Will I sign you out of Zoom?
No, I think it's just next.
There you go.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jennifer Stivers. I'm an LPN at Southwest Pediatrics, where we've been actively working on this patient portal as a quality improvement measure for about the last 6 months or so. So I'm hoping just to provide you with kind of a general overview of what a patient portal looks like clinically. You can go ahead. Yeah. Okay. So our patients are going to fall into 2 categories: patients that are already enrolled in portal and patients that are new to portal. So we'll start with the existing portal patients. It sounds really simple, but we just want to make sure that we're checking our inbox several times a day for the messages. Just like we do our clinical tasks, we want to check those patient portal inboxes, because I think nothing would be more discouraging for the patient than to send a message and not have a timely response from the team. Also, be mindful of who's assigned to your patient portal messages. Management assigns staff to the messages, just like the clinical task messaging. So if yourself and your MA are both out of the office, you want to make sure that there's somebody there fielding your messages for you. Also, for existing patients, you want to make sure that you're sending those portal messages after the patient is seen for their appointment. It can be a typed message such as "Thank you for choosing El Rio," or you can, like Angie just showed, send a copy of the patient plan, the normal lab letter, the work or the school excuse. All of that meets the meaningful use measure, but it's also meaningful for the patient, giving them a world-class experience, not to have to arrange for transportation to come down and get a school note, etc. You've noted how nice it is to be able to communicate through the portal rather than playing phone tags for things like normal lab letters that can really take up a lot of your time. And you can also think about saving that step, like Andy showed, to send the normal lab letter rather than tasking your MA to send the lab letter or to make the call. Sometimes when the patient is already enrolled in portal but forgets how to log in, or they forget their password, it's necessary to do just a quick refresher in the office to help remind them. For example, when we see a newborn in the office, we'll enroll them into the patient portal. We'll give them their little tutorial, show them how to schedule their next appointment. When they come in for that next appointment, we'll ask them in the office, do you need help scheduling that next appointment? Can we help you out? Do you feel comfortable? Sometimes they say to you, I don't even know where to go in the website to log on. So just a quick little refresher for those already enrolled patients is sometimes really helpful to make them feel comfortable. Good. Next is patient portal for the new portal enrollees. We found the best practice is to enroll the patient right there in the office and to provide that short tutorial on how to use the patient portal. And this helps them feel much more comfortable with the system. During this tutorial, we want to touch on 3 key items. First, we want to send a test message to the team. And it's just going in the inbox, subject text, test, message test, send it to the team. And it does a couple of things. When the team responds, it meets that meaningful use measure, but it also kind of instills some confidence in the patient that I can send this message and my provider is going to respond, the team's going to respond back to me. Second, we want to schedule any follow-up that they need right there through the portal, and that teaches them how to schedule. And if they don't need the follow-up, just to go in and show them how to schedule the appointment, I think is important. Third, we want to show them how to download the NextGen Patient Portal app. A lot of our patients don't have desktops at home, but the access that they have is in their cell phone. So if we can show them how to download that app, Patient Portal is right there at their fingertips. For the time management portion, patient enrollment initially can take up to 10 minutes of the medical assistant's time, especially if they're not very familiar with enrolling the patients. Of course, as they enroll more patients, they're going to become more comfortable. That time will be cut in half. But it's definitely an adjustment to the provider workflow initially. So what's key is your patients. It's so appreciated by the nursing staff as they're trying to learn how to enroll patients and the patients have a lot of questions. Your patients is really key. If you're a very fast provider and you're speed quick in and out of the office, then it might be best to enroll the patients after you've seen them, and they can just step in and enroll them after you've been seen. If there's a wait and you have a 15-minute wait, and they can go in before you see the patients even and enroll them. So it's about finding that balance with your team and making those adjustments that are right for you. Management staff is so important when taking on this patient portal project. What we found at our clinic that's very helpful is to have staff assigned to doing patient portal. And maybe this is staff that's been assigned to paperwork that day or an LPN that isn't working directly with the provider. And once assigned, they can be proactive in searching out those patients. They can have the schedule up. They could call the team and say, hey, your 8:30 needs a patient portal enrollment. Can I step in with that patient? And when it's a good time with the provider flow, they could go in and enroll these patients. Also, they can send the portal messages or the patient plans at the end of the day, and that kind of frees up a little bit of the MA's time if they're working directly with the provider. I would suggest that you discuss with your teams what goals you could set for yourself. At Southwest, we started by enrolling all patients newborn to 18 months. So we really targeted those babies initially. And once we had made our adjustments and felt comfortable enrolling these patients, then we opened it up to all ages. You could set a number goal, like 3 to 4 patients a session. Some clinic sites are doing that now, just setting a number goal. It really seems like a daunting task. You have all these patients to enroll, but once you start enrolling the patients, you feel comfortable with it, your patients are beginning to all become enrolled, it's less work after. And then you have happy patients because they can, instead of being on the phone, they can just schedule their appointments online, and they're really, really liking that. And that's creating a world-class experience for our staff and our patients as we provide a convenient way for communication. So now that we're all fired up for this patient portal adventure, how can we help you get started? I would say talk to your team. If you feel like as a team you can champion this project and be the champion at your clinic sites, that would be awesome. And we would love to arrange some patient portal super users to come over to your clinic site and really get them comfortable enrolling the patients, troubleshoot with them so that they can be super users at your clinic site. And then you can help kind of spread it throughout the clinic. You can contact me directly at my email. My information's on the board, and I'm happy to answer any questions that might come up in the future, set up a time to discuss or provide any additional training for the staff. I'm happy to help in any way that I can. And that's all I have for today. So thank you so much for your time.
The last thing that I want to show, we talked about meaningful use measures at the very beginning. I want to show on the NUG,
supposed to, yeah, Sherry's gonna.
Okay, so on the NUG. What's that?
I was just gonna ask if you were gonna show where the video is gonna be.
I will let you know. It's gonna be here on the NUG. I'll send out an email in regards to the video and also the PowerPoint too. But there's a meaningful use tab here at the very end, and it talks about here's some 2017 meaningful use objectives. There's also some how-tos. I will put actually this is actually where we'll probably put the video as well, on this tab. So, and then PowerPoints, the document Angie created, we'll have it here underneath the how-tos. But there's also, if you go under the 2017, this is the provider HQM reports. This shows you where you're at. I do know that there is some issues with the CCDA numbers, are a little off right now, but I know it's the referrals portion of it. So they're working on those numbers. So if your referral numbers are skewed or doesn't seem right to you, then let us know. But they're working on it right now to figure out why those are off.
So that's like when we send a patient a referral document?
It's not the referral document. That's separate. That's actually doing a referral. Like they're actually attaching a CCDA through to the referral. Usually it's the referral clerk
type of file.
Yes.
That's tied into our revision.
Correct. I just wanted to point out that number is a little inaccurate right now, but the patient portal numbers are accurate. Okay. Yeah, Susan, question.
As you mentioned, when MLR signs up some patient, they're given instructions.
So all of that information is here. There's a patient portal tab, and that information is right here.
So there are two different flyers. There's one for auto enrollment and one for token. And they're under patient portal.
Okay. Did anybody have any questions?
Yeah, this is Joy Rockby. I'm wondering about from the PAQ when you use the run actions and you get the patient portal pop up, and it says that you're sending their labs. What do the labs look like when they go with that document?
So what she's saying is in PAQ, when you set up the action to send it to the patient portal because the patient's enrolled, what does it look like?
What does the patient receive? What does it look like?
I haven't seen one, so I'll test that today and let you know. We've not done that. It's kind of difficult because our test patients really don't have labs. I do have one patient and I'll send it over and let's see what happens. I don't know what it looks like, but I'll find out for you.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and I can actually put even a screenshot, or we'll send something out where you to let everybody know what it looks like. Because like Angie said, it's hard to test that when we don't have test patients that have labs. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
This is Sean at home. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So question, Jennifer was talking about how the team, there's a team assigned to messages that the patient sends. Now, if the team's assigned to it and I don't get it as a provider, does that still meet my meaningful use?
Yes. It does.
Thank you.
It could be yourself or a representative.
So let me make sure everybody understands. Currently, very few providers are actually on the routing team. So it's your staff that's responding. And if they're not, then that's where we have a problem. But we're trying to make sure that all of our staff understand that they need to, like Jennifer said, you need to be checking that inbox many times a day because it is frustrating. We've actually had patients call us at IT very, very upset because they're not getting responded to the patient portal messages.
As a patient, I sent a message to the doctor and the doctor was imagining that there was no.
Well, that's going to their staff and then the responsibility of the staff to send it.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Even for those routing teams that have the providers on them, you still have staff. And
I
they're
don't think
all.
there are any providers standing alone.
No,
Nobody is standing alone on it.
Not even
Even
with
like
staff.
in a tasking team. Right. Right, we have multiple people, and for specifically for that reason. Anything else? Thank you all so much. If you guys have additional questions, email the IT help desk, and we'll get right back to you. Thank you all.
It's just right. Yep. Thank you. You're welcome.
No, my patients were gonna disappear, just knew it, right?
Okay, how do I stop?
Oh, it's gonna stop? Oh, no, no, first you stop the recording. Recording? Don't erase it, so let's pause it.